So, the last 15 weeks or so now, I've done things kind of in a general chapters format, and I'm not going to stop doing that for this video, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I think it'll be an overall better format, at least for this video, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it yet. It just all kind of depends on how Aquatope goes from here. Normally, I reserve this part of the video for my normal intro, but I'm kind of tired of doing that, so I'm just going to kind of hit the main points, and I hope you guys don't skip them. I really don't suggest you do, but if you do, then if you're on a mobile device, go ahead and tap your screen and you can see all of the different video chapters for this specific video. If you're on desktop or anywhere else, just go ahead and check the video description. So the first thing that is usually on the list is the 250 sub goal by the end of the year, the 1000 by Anime Expo for the cosplay, and I will put up a tweet on screen. You can check out the details there. Next up is the second channel for Pokemon related stuff and Pokemon stuff in general, once I get a Pokemon challenges video going up here shortly. And last but not least is the 200 sub Patreon goal, where once we hit the 200 subs, the Patreon page will go live and I will announce that with reward information on the very same day. Alright, well there you have it. That is the shortened version, as much as I can kind of get it down without missing the important stuff, so let's go ahead and get on with episode 16 of Aquatope on the White Sand. So, I won't lie, Aquatope has been slow the last couple of weeks. Last week's episode 15 didn't have much to offer, but episode 14 at least had Fuka's return. However, that doesn't include the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, and wow. I don't know how I didn't see this coming. I went into this week's episode not expecting much, but a tweet from a mutual on Twitter caught my eye. Something about this episode being why they love Aquatope. All I can say is, yeah, episode 16 is definitely why I love Aquatope. We've really come so far, and everyone has grown up so much that I think all of those emotions and feelings from everyone in the anime kind of built up inside of me, too. If you ever make it to the end of these episode reviews, I always throw in a little reminder that this is a PA Works anime, and this week absolutely proved that. It wasn't the curveball I was expecting, but it definitely hit me like one. Just the sheer amount of spite and hate that poured from Kukuru and Chiyu this week was so toxic. Of course, Kukuru saying she's going to set things straight with Chiyu right out of the gate was stupid. That was definitely destined to end in disaster. It was definitely one of those oh for fuck's sakes moments, for sure. Would I call it character regression after this week? Definitely not. I can't keep this up without getting into the body of the episode, so let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with the basics. Chiyu is young, not much older than Kukuru or Fuka. She loves aquarium work, but what else? Well, come to find out, Chiyu has a little boy. I think this is a big reason why she doesn't lose her cool with Kukuru until this episode. She can't go around making enemies doing the things she loves because she's not going to get anywhere like that. Her main focus has to be on her child. As a parent, that is her most important duty. So, imagine my surprise when she actually shows up to work despite Shizuku-kun being sick with a fever. Not his first one in recent days, either. Now, I understand her refusal to work an overnight shift. Duh, she has a child to take care of. There are plenty of people who can help cover for her, but that's not the issue here. She did briefly neglect her duty as a mother to take care of her sick child, but it's not fair to be critical either. Money has to be made, doctor bills have to be taken care of, and she has to make sure she's employed. Otherwise, I fear she would have a regression back to the way she was when she first had Shizuku. The human psyche is really weird, and emotions are also really weird, so it's not hard to imagine that if she ended up losing her job at Tingara, that she would end up facing a kind of regression in an emotional state. Chiyu worked hard straight out of high school. She got married, had a child, but had to take time off from her attendant job for her child. Like she said, at first, everyone was more than happy to help out, but after a while it became an inconvenience to them and she was fired. In Japan, the work culture is somewhat different than that of the US. It's not as easy to find employment in your same field again if you've been fired, like Chiyu was. To top things off, she still had a child to take care of, but didn't have the means to do it herself if her husband left. Yes, they had a falling out. They got divorced and Chiyu was forced to take care of her child alone. When Kukuru learned of her child, the entire anime took a dramatic shift, but one for the better, absolutely. The fight between Kukuru and Chiyu about midway through the episode was really the big turning point. Kukuru, I would imagine, was about to tell Fuka how she felt about taking Chiyu's shift, since she had called in sick to take care of her little boy. However, when she finally opened up to everyone about her little boy, well, it's something she should have done from the start. I think having accidentally stumbled upon the fact that Chiyu had a child really deepened some of the maternal instincts Kukuru had deep down inside of herself. It was the sudden realization that she had acted so shitty towards someone who didn't deserve it at all that caused a big shift in emotional plot development. Think about the end of episode 9 and the quarrel they had then and compare it to the blow-up they had this episode. A lot of pent-up feelings, right? Yeah. It wasn't fair that Chiyu lashed out the way she did, though, but it was apparent it bothered her when Fuka stopped by her apartment for a visit. Of course, Fuka led the way once more and Kukuru followed in her wake as usual, but this time, I think the drive to try and get to know Chiyu better was inspired by Kukuru's own volition. It's no secret, relations between Kukuru and Chiyu were awful. Thanks to Kukuru, Chiyu formed quite the nasty impression about Gama Gama when, in reality, it was not an accurate representation. She understood that, and having Fuka over to seriously get to know her, Chiyu, better was the first step. The scoff she gave Fuka was to be expected, but I didn't actually think she would doubt Fuka's intentions, but Fuka held her ground and made it clear she wanted to understand Chiyu better. One of the biggest developments out of this episode occurred within the last 3 minutes where, believe it or not, Chiyu apologizes to Kukuru. I'm disappointed not in the fact that Chiyu apologized, though. In fact, that was a very humble moment. No, I'm disappointed that Kukuru didn't apologize, whereas she was the one to start it all. Now, let's both work our asses off was definitely better than nothing. She acknowledged that they're co-workers and they both have a job to do, one that they both share the experience of loving. Now let me rewind a little bit. Part of getting to know Chiyu better was by helping to raise a child or share in Chiyu's experiences. Takeshita-sensei is back now after having her child and having to care for him alone, like Chiyu with Susuku-kun. Kukuru has never experienced something like this and asked Takeshita-sensei if she could watch her little boy, who would say no when they've had zero time to themselves trying to raise a child. Long story short, even after just a couple of hours, Kukuru pretty much gets the idea as Takeshita-sensei's child would not stop crying. She has had no experience with raising children. It's unsurprising and wore her out, but she was able to catch a glimpse of what life is like for Chiyu. So with a fresh start now on the table and no more secrets being kept, Kukuru has finally discovered that everyone has their own life to live, and jumping to conclusions, trying to take control of things by yourself is not a good idea. As with the focus on small children and parental duties this episode, there was one more new beginning: the hatching of the baby penguin. Life is such a precious thing and it should be cherished. Kukuru finally discovers this when she realizes she and Chiyu have the same love for the same thing. As with every new beginning, there comes some rough waters sometimes, but I think the seas are looking a lot calmer now. Kukuru saw herself in the laughter, smiles, and happiness that was Chiyu's little boy. While she no longer has any parents herself to be able to enjoy such a thing with, I think what Kukuru saw was herself in some ways. Life handed Kukuru a bad hand early on, but she took that hand, played it, and won the game. I'd expect nothing less than exactly that from Kukuru, and that brought tears to my eyes this week. This is why I love Aquatope. Seeing as we're beginning to near the end of this anime, I think we may begin to see more stuff like this. Little moments, little things here and there, but all contributing to the main story. This week was definitely a curveball and I didn't see it coming, but at the same time, I'm kinda glad I didn't. I really, truly think that this anime was meant to teach us something. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but I think there's been a bunch of little lessons along the way that we all should be paying a lot more attention to. But with that being said, I'm going to close things out here, and I will catch you all next Friday for some more Aquatope on the White Sand, episode 17. I know, I can't believe we're finally getting up here. So if I somehow don't get this up next Friday, it will be the following Saturday, and I will see you all then. Big thank you to all of my loyal Aquatope viewers who have been turning out weekly like you have been, and I really cannot wait to see more of this anime, and I hope you feel the same way, because this is really something special. Alright, well don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next week.